Have you ever felt stuck? Like you're just going through the motions day in and day out, waiting for something to change. That was exactly where John found himself. He was a good guy, worked a decent job, but felt like a spectator in his own life. There was this nagging feeling, a void he couldn't quite name. He'd scroll through social media, seeing people building amazing things, traveling, living these vibrant lives, and he'd just feel small. He tried different hobbies, binge-watching shows, playing video games, even attempting to learn guitar. But nothing stuck. The initial excitement would fade, and he'd be right back where he started, on his couch, feeling that familiar sense of emptiness. He was adrift, and he knew it. But what he didn't know was that a simple, almost forgotten object lying in his garage was about to change everything. One Saturday morning, tired of the usual routine, John wandered into his garage. It was a cluttered space, a graveyard of good intentions and forgotten projects. Tucked away in a dusty corner, under a pile of old rags, was a wooden box. He hadn't opened it in years. It was his grandfather's old wood carving set. He remembered his grandpa, a man with calloused hands and a kind smile, spending hours in his workshop, turning simple blocks of wood into beautiful, intricate figures. Birds, animals, little whimsical characters, each one filled with life. As a boy, John had been fascinated, but as he grew up, life got in the way. He'd inherited the tools, but never the passion. Or so he thought. He lifted the lid. The familiar scent of aged wood and metal polish hit him. He ran his finger over the handle of a small whittling knife. It felt solid, real, a stark contrast to the virtual world he'd been lost in. On a whim, he grabbed a small block of basswood he found nearby. He had no idea what he was doing. He just sat on an old stool and started shaving off small curls of wood. At first, his movements were clumsy, awkward. He cut himself a couple of times. Nothing serious, but enough to make him focus. He wasn't thinking about work, or bills, or what he was missing out on. For the first time in a long time, his mind was quiet. It was just him, the knife, and the wood. He didn't try to make anything specific that first day. He just got a feel for the tool, how it moved through the grain, the satisfying sound of a clean slice. The pile of wood shavings on the floor grew. Hours passed like minutes. When he finally looked up, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the garage. He looked at the mangled piece of wood in his hand. It was ugly, shapeless, but he felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in ages, pride. He had made something. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even good, but it was his. That night, instead of scrolling on his phone, he watched videos. Not cat videos or fail compilations, but tutorials from old, wise-looking woodcarvers. He learned about different types of wood, the purpose of each tool in his grandfather's kit, the basic cuts. He was hooked. The next day, he was back in the garage, this time with a little more purpose. He decided to try carving a simple bird. His first attempt looked more like a lumpy potato with a beak. He laughed, tossed it in a scrap pile, and started again. And again, and again. Something incredible started to happen. The more he carved, the more he learned, not just about wood, but about himself. He learned about patience. You can't rush wood. You have to work with it, respect the grain, understand its limits. One wrong move, one moment of impatience, and a project could be ruined. This lesson started to bleed into other areas of his life. He became more patient at work, less frustrated by traffic, more understanding with his friends. He also learned about focus. When he was carving, the world disappeared. The constant buzz of notifications and anxieties faded into the background. This intense focus was like a form of meditation. It cleared his mind, and after a session in the garage, he felt refreshed, energized, not drained like he did after hours on the couch. He started sleeping better, feeling more present in his daily conversations. And most importantly, he reconnected with a part of himself he thought was long gone, his creativity. As his skills improved, he moved from simple birds to more complex figures. He carved a fox with a mischievous look, an old man with a face full of stories, a dragon that looked like it could breathe fire. He wasn't just copying things he saw anymore. He was bringing his own ideas to life. The garage, once a dusty storage space, became his sanctuary, his studio. He cleaned it up, organized his tools, and installed better lighting. It was no longer a place of forgotten things, but a place of creation. His friends noticed the change. He was more confident, more engaged. He'd show them his latest creations, his eyes lighting up as he explained the process, the challenges, the little details he was proud of. He even started an Instagram account to share his work. At first, he only had a few followers, mostly friends and family. But people started to notice. Other carvers, art lovers, people who just appreciated handmade things. They'd leave comments, not just cool, but thoughtful messages about how his work inspired them. One day, he got a message from a woman who wanted to buy one of his pieces. A small, intricately carved owl. John was stunned. Someone wanted to pay money for something he made with his own hands. For fun? He was hesitant at first, feeling like he wasn't a real artist. But he eventually agreed. Packing up that little owl and sending it off to its new home was a surreal experience. It was a validation he never knew he needed. That first sale was a turning point. It wasn't about the money. It was about the connection. The idea that something he created in his quiet garage could bring joy to a stranger hundreds of miles away was powerful. More requests came in. He started a small online shop. He was still working his day job, but now his evenings and weekends were filled with purpose and passion. The void was gone. It had been filled, not with stuff or distractions, but with the satisfying work of his own hands. John's story isn't really about wood carving. It could have been painting, pottery, coding, gardening, or fixing up an old car. It's about what happens when you stop being a passive consumer and start being an active creator. It's about finding that thing that quiets the noise and allows you to focus, to learn, to grow. It's about the profound satisfaction that comes from taking raw material and shaping it into something new. He picked up a simple tool, and yes, everything changed. But the tool itself wasn't magic. The magic was in the act of using it. It unlocked his patience, his focus, and his creativity. It gave him a sense of accomplishment that no like or share ever could. It connected him to his grandfather, to a community of fellow creators, and most importantly, to himself. So if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling that same sense of emptiness John did, maybe it's time to look in your own garage. What forgotten tools are lying there? What dormant passions are waiting to be rediscovered? It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to start. Pick up that paintbrush, that guitar, that wrench, that seed packet. Make something. Make a mess. Make mistakes. Because you might find that in the process of creating something with your hands, you end up rebuilding yourself. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments what your tool is or what you'd like it to be. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.